How far did you go in a game of truth or dare? It was a sleepover with 2 boys and 3 girls at this girl's house. I was one of the lucky guys. We were playing truth or dare and our clothes were coming off piece by piece. I got dared to wear a leopard bra from the girl of the house's dresser. Right as I put it on and start dancing around like a silly idiot, her mom walks in and I get sent home. Edit, we were about 14-15, so it all was pretty exciting. At a friend's house for a sleepover when I was maybe 12 or so. Just me, my brother, and the friend playing truth or dare, really just dare. Because truth is lame af. We were doing the typical sheet, making drinks out of condiments and other stuff to chug. Putting household items in the freezer etc. When I was hit with a ducking dare gong. Sneak into his sister's room, who was a few years younger than us, go to her personal bathroom, take a sheet, and leave it. Ninja sheet? I'm down. So I left a monster log in her toilet, and sneakily waddled back out to the main bathroom to wipe. Can't have toilet paper obstructing the view of that beautiful brown python. The next morning, we woke up to screams. I got a very stern talking to. But I know both my friend's dad and my dad were laughing inside. Also, I was strictly forbidden from entering her room. Totally worth it. Was dared to go home. I went home. I jumped 20 stairs, almost 3 meters height I think. I was stupid, I tore a ligament in knee. I jumped out a window. I couldn't see the ground because it was dark. And when my feet hit, my knee slammed into my jaw and busted 2 teeth. That was an expensive dare. I was sitting with my girlfriend next to me and received the dare kiss the person next to you. I made eye contact with her, smiled, and leaned in. As soon as I saw her close her eyes, I whipped around to my right, grabbed my friend's jaw, and kissed him square on the lips. Oh, she was mad, but oh, was it worth it. As a dare, I got my ear pierced by a friend using a needle. Seemed funny at the time. But the next few days where it was leaking yellow pus and my entire ear was red were a little less funny. That happened with me. I only had earlobe piercings and got septum piercings because my friend dared me, but at an actual tattoo shop. I still keep it open with a barbell that doesn't show. I have 2 kids now. Dug yourself 12 feet under. I think 12 feet is an understatement. As a kid, my cousin always beat the shit out of me and was a terror. One day she dared me to go to the very top of the roof, and I'm not sure if she asked me to jump off or stand on the edge. I do not want to exaggerate, so I'll assume stand. I did, with my toes being in the air and the rest of my feet on the edge of the roof. I was 10 years old and that was the first time I felt suicidal. Despite having been generally happy and well at the time. The call of the void. Definitely call of the void moment. Licked whipped cream off a cute boy's ear. Ended up marrying that cute boy. It turned from weird to wholesome. Not far. I typically bowed out whenever the dares or truths became just dangerous or hurtful. I never liked truth or dare because people aren't creative enough. And instead just go for the shock factor. Oh. That's a shame. I tend to get very creative. I was never dared to do anything particularly crazy, mostly because I was usually the innocent one. But a girl was once dared to kiss me on the lips. The darer was okay with a peck. And she said that since it isn't in a sexual context, there's nothing weird about it. I wasn't really paying attention and suddenly this girl pops up and kisses me. Her lips were uncomfortably moist. And then goes back to sitting like nothing happened. I have to be honest. That was probably the worst kiss I've experienced. Deletes Reddit account. I made out with one of those weird growths on the side of a tree for 5 minutes. My tongue was bleeding for about an hour. When I was much younger, 2 girls, my friend and I were hanging out. We eventually started playing truth or dare, which eventually ended in the girls daring us to give them massages. Those manipulative brats. Got free massages out of it too because there was no way in hell we were going to say no to girls lifting the backs of their shirts up and unhooking their bras. That was, sadly, all the further it went. I don't exactly remember what happened after the massages. I'm pretty sure the blood was directed away from my brain at the time. I think we may have been called down for dinner or something, or the girls had to go home or something of the sort. We were, as I said, young. Almost got invited to play. Once. I mean, it's kind of barbaric, but once I kissed a girl, guys. Dated a 50-year-old for a week. I think that we all want to hear the story behind this one. So, my friends and I always played Extreme Truth or Dare, and I was always the pussy who backed out of things. This is really trashy, but it's a dose of reality. I'm 16. But people think I'm much older because I've been weight training since I was 12. So my hella cut muscles outweigh my baby face, and when talking to people and they often think I'm older. Anyway, there was this guy at the gym that was always super flirtatious with me. I always brushed him off because I'm an awkward kid who doesn't know how to deal with creepy guys yet. Anyway, after falling into the peer pressure, I told the friends in my group to give me an extreme dare, and I promised I wouldn't back out. They told me to ask out the creep at the gym. But I was like hell no, but they kept putting money on it. Big money too. They each put $30 on it. So it was 30x6. I finally asked the dude on a date and we went on one. My parents thought I was out with friends. Anyway, he was a nice guy and we talked about normal things. He asked me how college was. I went into immense detail since my older sister is in college and I know how it works. Anyway, that was the only date we went on, and by the end of the week, I scored $180. I know. I'm a cheap whore. BTW at the end of the week. I told him I was underage and I never saw him at the gym after that. It was what are the odds, but close enough. It was December in Alaska and we were chilling in the hot tub and I got dared to, with my friend, go into the middle of the street, drop drawer and do 10 push-ups, then run all the way up the street and ding-dong at your house of this asshole kid while buckers naked and streak the way back. Odds were 1/100 and I duckin' lost. Great game at 2 AM though. You know what? I'll tell you anyway. I reinstalled Fortnite and didn't stop playing until I got a victory royale. Probably about 19ish at the time. Male. Got dared to lick chocolate sauce off a girl's bedsit. She wasn't into me but loved the attention. So I went for it. Another time I was dating someone at the time. And they dared her to give me a BJ under a blanket. She went for it and nobody actually believed it was happening. My one friend called bullshit on me and I swore no dude. She's ducking sucking it right now. Back off. Then his girlfriend shouted no ducking way. And tried to yank the blanket off. I grabbed it back and leaned over to the side to hide our sinfulness, but I'm pretty sure they caught a glimpse. Edit, that wasn't even the most embarrassing one. The worst was when I was at a medieval battle reenactment event and everyone was hanging out around various campfires afterward. I got dared to walk past every campsite doing the Cornholio bit from Beavis and Butthead. I thought it was a ducking hilarious idea. But I was alone in this. So very alone. I've gone streaking before but never felt quite as naked as I did that night. Walking up to group after group of strangers with my shirt over my head. And having them stare at me like disappointed fathers while I ask if they have TP for my bunghole. It wasn't me. But on the way to a track meet in 8th grade, my friend and I were sitting in the seats about 3 rows from the back of the bus. Almost all of the guys on the team were behind us. Small school. Small team. I don't know if it was a dare or what. But I heard them saying something about getting hard, and when I looked over at my friend I saw one dude jerking off out of the corner of my eye. I tried to go across the row to my friend's seat so I didn't have to see that to talk to her. And I was yelled at by one of the coaches to go back to my seat. These guys would also occasionally sit kinda close to the front. And one would play porn and hold their phone out in the middle of the aisle for the rest to see. I haven't been in track since. I had my pants down to my ankles with my underwear pulled down to expose my cheeks and had to waddle for 2 blocks whilst having my shirt pulled behind my head and pinching my nipples. I was dared to kiss a boy on his lips. I left and went home. You didn't go far then. You refused to do it. Maybe they lived far away so they did have to go far in the end. Lick the ground of a bus. Made out with a girl for the first time in 7th grade. Made out with others. But obviously the first time was the most eventful. Especially because I was a total dork and she pulled me in. Later saying she thought I'd appreciate it. Which I goddamn did. What a patriot. Kit was a college girl in a middle schooler's body. Jumped off balcony of motel room into pool while holding my friend's GF. I peed inside my neighbor car. All over the seats. Not proud but it was 14 years ago. Guys, 4-6 of us, jumped off of the school roof, after scaling the building, in 4th grade. Resulted in a few minor injuries and warnings from the principal. My friends invite me to a party that they were hosting. They were play truth or dare. It got out of hand when none of us got dared to run on one side of the roof to the other side. My friend fell for the house and broke her arm. We did not play truth or dare again. How have you bought happiness with money? Peace of mind in knowing that I have a home and dependable transportation. Using money to buy a sense of security. Nailed it. I worked nearly full time from 18-30 and never netted more than 20k. I was stressed all the time and was quite miserable. Finally I'm making 35k and I'm happier all the time. Car repairs? No big deal. I have savings. Hungry but too tired to cook? No problem. I'll pick something up. Sick and scared? I can afford to go to the doctor. Literally every aspect of my life is happier because I have some money. Traveling. Every time I have spare money it goes straight into my next trip. My BF travel buddy just left me but I'd like to continue to travel when possible. It just seems harder when you're alone. We try and do 2 trips a year. I like traveling alone. You can go where you want. When you want. And eat what you want and when you want. Food. The food I buy only fills me with guilt and self-hate. Eat better food. And less of it. Pursuing my passion. Investing in long-term happiness instead of short-term gratification. I'm hoping that someday I will be as mature as you. Paid off all my debt. It seems like just a number or a value. Like buying a car. Or a house. But psychologically it's freedom. Now I can afford to finance a huge house. And a nice car but I refuse to buy anything that's not in cash. I live in a 900 SQFT house not in Hoa because I'm not stupid enough volunteer another layer of authority into my life. And continue to drive used cars and I don't owe any money to anybody. In fact all I have is positive money to lose in the form of investments. But I have cash cushion to back that up anyways. 2 years ago when my company had layoffs. When it was announced everyone at work freaked out. Some were in tears. And everyone raced to get their resume out onto the job market. I went back to my desk and bought a one-way ticket to Seoul from my work computer. Ironically. And I spent 3 weeks going from Korea to Taiwan to Japan before deciding on my own to come home. Showed up to a grossly long lawn but no stern letters from Jakov with an inferiority complex. Then I chilled at home for 3 more months before looking and starting my new job. All because I chose to pay down debt before tacking on more debt to buy a new truck and a 2000 SQFT home within Hoa. Debt is bondage. The most valuable thing you can buy with money is you time and freedom. I like to buy little surprise gifts for my mother. Her happiness makes me happy. Flying lessons. I started in March and am now commercially rated. Currently working on my flight instructor certificate. And I'll probably be a regional airline pilot by early 2020. I'm so much happier now than I was working a desk job. Oh wow, congratulations. You must have had a lot of money saved up. My partner is stalled right now after getting his private license because he ran out of money. Just need to save up another 60,000 or so and he can complete his training. He got a job as a RAM service agent just so he can still be around planes and not lose sight of his goal. Paying slightly more to live by myself instead of living in a house share. My guitar. I've started a few weeks ago but I'm having a blast with learning it. It is the most fun I've had in a while and adds a lot of excitement in my life. Full stop. Bought a PS4 Pro recently after years of waiting. Finally being able to play games is heaven. Having my own place. I can't tell you how much stress and anxiety and awkwardness I've had to deal with housemates. It's unusual to have your own place in my city but I finally managed to do it this year. Funny. For me it's the opposite. I wasted so much money trying to live in terrible small studios before I figured that I can live with nice quiet housemates for 1/3 of the price and have x3 the space. Eat good food and not worry about money. For me it's worth it. I pay women to hang out with me. I cook them dinner and we watch movies or play board games. We don't have sex but we do cuddle. This is probably not the kind of happiness people are expecting. I guess. But unless you've been truly, thoroughly, alone for years, it's hard to explain. I'm 32 and have never been in a relationship and I have very few friends. If I could afford it I would hire a guy to hang out with me in the same way you do. So I completely understand. When I had no money, it felt like, if I just get this one more thing, I'll be happy. If I could just afford to get this, my life would be measurably happier. Then I came into a bit of money. I'll admit I went on a small spending spree. But after I had bought all the things I wanted, that compulsion doesn't happen anymore. I guess it's not technically happiness. But just knowing that I can pretty much afford anything I want has taken a burden off of me. Buying toys for my kids. Money. And so toys is a bit of a luxury in our household at the moment. When they get to open a new toy, they are so excited and happy. And that just makes my day. I pay huge amounts of cash for live shows, literature and clothes, makeup and stuff that I might not really need but only want. Just so I can always remember that I worked hard for that and I deserve it. That makes me happy. I spend thousands of dollars a year going to live shows between ticket costs, hotels, food, merch, and booze. Every time I go is the best night I've ever had and I just do it again and again. It makes me so damn happy. My bills are paid and I can buy a coffee or a sandwich if I want one while I'm out, rather than waiting in thirst or hunger until I'm home later. Those are such simple things. But after not being able to even do that for a while, it makes me pretty happy that now I can. I bought my girlfriend an advent calendar for £100 with beauty products in it. Every day she makes a little vlog opening it and sends it to me. Always makes me smile. A Nintendo Switch Plus Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild combo package. A weighted blanket has helped me and my fiancé finally sleep through the night. Amazing what that can do to lessen the daily toll of anxiety and depression. I stopped buying myself things because Christmas is approaching. But this is on my list of post-Christmas. If I didn't get one purchases. Buying the tools that support my passions. And traveling. Money buys freedom. And using that money or the freedom to do things that make you happy. You've probably heard people referring to debt as a prison. And it's true. Creating small toiletry bags and passing them out to the enormous homeless camps in my hometown. It was awful to see so many families in need. So each holiday it was affordable my family and I would do this and went out to give food necessities to them. $25 for my pet rabbit. I will whack someone in the neck with a hammer if they duck with my baby. She's the most important thing in my entire life. Fellow house rabbit owner here. I have 2 and they are my babies. Currently sofa bound due to dislocating my knee and the most frustrating thing is not being able to sit on the floor with them. MDMA is pure happiness for a few hours and I've bought that a few times. A few hours of happiness and a few days of depression and low mood. That's why I gave it up. I made enough to move out of my abusive family's house. 90% of my problems went away. And I've never been happier. Most of the money I spend feels like a waste. Except for the money I spend in my car. I feel like I'm in a different social class because of it. That's just how much better it makes my life. Before I would have to walk 10-20 minutes to a bus stop. No GPS tracking on the buses. So it's often a 10+ minute wait for them. So around 30 minutes for the privilege of getting crammed into a metal tube where people smack me with their backpacks. Step on my shoes. Eat smelly food and kindly spread their germs everywhere. But my car is my sanctuary. It's super clean. Runs well. Takes me anywhere in the city in under 20 minutes. And has been the catalyst for countless adventures to where buses just don't go. All this for a cheap Craigslist car that costs about as much as a transit pass to stay registered and keep running. When I worked my first job, I gave my first ever paycheck to my dad to help him pay one of the bills that he couldn't. He was freaking out so much about it and super worried, and it just hurt to see that. Seeing that relief on his face when I gave him my check made me very happy. Maybe it was relief. But it was good to see him slightly less stressed. I bought an old Porsche. Also, we got that legal weed up here in Canada. Robot vacuum. The ease of not having to sweep up after 4 adults, 2 children, and 3 cats is amazing. One less chore to do. There was an adopt a senior for Christmas this year. The lady I got wanted a walker. With a seat and brakes. I figured if that was the first thing on your Christmas list, you have some big needs. So a couple of friends and I got her everything on the list plus a few things. New winter coat. Winter boots. Some shoes. Blankets for her bed and the best fanciest walker they make. It really is the best money I ever spent. It feels like we changed her life in a pretty positive way. In the process of planning a remodel on a very old house in a historic district. I brought it in my early 20s when the area was considered rough. It makes me feel super happy to know that we're preserving a tiny little piece of history. My beautiful Siamese cat. He is coming up 10 years old and we have been through many milestones and adventures together. Even moving him from New Zealand to Australia with me. He is my best buddy. Hiring cleaners. It's definitely a luxury and they do things that I could do myself. But because they are cleaning other things on a regular basis that I wouldn't think to do. Dusting baseboards. Cleaning out the stove drip trays. etc. My home just feels nicer. And ultimately, it's buying me time. Time I would have spent cleaning, and definitely not as good as they do, can now be used pursuing my own interests. Gaming PCs for the family. Good meals. Paying the bills and keeping people warm. Playing Santa this Christmas. Never had money for this before, but I am really looking forward to seeing everyone's faces this Christmas. I spent about $1,500 split between the family. Not a lot to some, but significantly more than we had last year. Feels good. 4 years ago I adopted a foster cat and paid to do so. Called him Zizzy. Soon after I got caught in a troublesome period of my life. Depression. Anxiety. And my cat stood by my side every day. When I was feeling really down. I used to stay at home. Just to stay with the cat cuddling on the couch. We shared tuna cans when I didn't have the strength to do groceries. When I was thinking about suicide. I thought it wouldn't be good for him to be alone again. I'm much better now. And he's still with me. Zizzy is now a fat little fluffy boy. And he still loves tuna. I love him so much. And he still makes me happy. It was expensive. But the money helped to shelter to save other cats. Best investment ever.